My name is Amy Sciaretto, and I own and operate Adam Splitter PR, which is a music publicity firm, and we work with everybody from In This Moment to Hailstorm to Killswitch Engage, and many, many, many more great bands. And you can check us out at adamsplitterpr.com. And if there's one thing that is immutable and totally unquestionable, and I know it as sure as I know the back of my hand, is that women rock.
I am the fire, I am burning brighter, roaring like the sun, and I am the
I have to be a therapist, a support system, an unbiased, neutral person for all the bands I work with, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I know that I have been paid less for doing the same job as somebody who is a male, and I did it better. And I had to prove myself harder, and I had more experience and a better track record, and I still got paid less. And that really pissed me off, but that's really, I feel like just in women in the workplace and women in running businesses and stuff, it still feels a lot newer than men doing it. And women are in the workforce. I still feel it's newer than we think it is, even though it's not. But I have experienced that, or I've experienced in the past when I was a writer, if I was going backstage to interview a band or going backstage to get one of my bands that I work with, I've been stopped by security and with raised eyebrows. I'm not going back here to fuck anybody. I'm coming back here to get work done. Like, I have a deadline and a job that needs to get done, so I get paid. So get out of my way. I'm not, because I'm sure there are people who are back there for that purpose, and good on you, more power to you. It's not why I'm there, so please don't treat me like that. And I've experienced that 100%. I would be lying if I said that I didn't. So, but I think you have to just treat people with a modicum of decency, treat people the way you want to be treated, act like a professional, and people will treat you like one.
belong to you, it don't belong.
Yeah, I mean, when I was younger, I always looked up to like Joan Jett and Pat Benatar, because these were these women who were rock, like making music and making heavy music and making rock music, and they were, seemed like they were just in charge. Like Joan Jett was always in charge. She looked, whether she was or wasn't in reality, what I saw when I watched her was a strong woman who was in charge and who picked up a guitar and played it like when I was younger, you couldn't see the difference between Eddie Van Halen and Angus Young and Joan Jett. She was doing what they were doing. The minutia and the nuance of difference of her style versus theirs didn't matter to me. It was that she was doing the same thing that they were. And that I always looked up to. Professionally, yeah, there's a lot of women in the music business who, I've truly, are like mentors. I learn a lot from a lot of different women every time I interact with them. Jamie Roberts, who I used to work with at Roadrunner, she taught me so much, just on how to put myself out there, how to think about things and how to treat things and how to do things when you're to show your leadership. And sometimes that might require swallowing your pride and looking at the bigger picture and the whole rather than the sum of the parts. And that's hard to do because when you want to say, hey, I did this and get the credit, and you're like, wait a second, if we look good, if one looks good, we all look good. So you have to learn how to kind of be a little bit more. I learned how to be a team player through doing that too. So it's not about my accolades; it's about what we did as a department or a team or as a group. Oh goodness, I always go back and it's a couple things. I worked at Roadrunner for many years during the 00s, and it was a great time there. We had Nickelback, Slipknot, Killswitch Engage, Devil Driver, Machine Head, Soulfly, Theory of the Dead Man, Dragon Force, Black Label Society, Hatebreed. I could go on and on and on about the amazing bands that I was honored and blessed to work with there in that period, and still work with a lot of them to this day. But I would say definitely Slipknot, All Hope Is Gone as a #1 record on the charts, and the band selling out Madison Square Garden and working that show. That's one of the greatest achievements and proudest moments that I had to be a part of. One of the toughest was when we lost Paul Gray. I was there with the band, in Iowa the day after it happened, and one of the toughest days of my career, probably the toughest. It's not been topped, and I hope it never is, because it was really fucking hard. But a lot of great moments, seeing a band like Killswitch Engage go from, losing their singer, who's an amazing human, and gaining a singer who's an amazing human, and going gold and almost platinum, and becoming one of the biggest bands of the wave of American metal in the early 00s. Dragon Force, seeing them, people like going, what the fuck is this? And it just blowing up. A band like Theory of a Dead Man that we worked with for many, many, many years, getting them, to finally go platinum. And then just on the level with my own company that I started after I left Roadrunner, working with so many amazing bands and helping them get to where they need to be. It's been really, really, great to see a band like Vane, who's a super heavy band, get recognized by Pitchfork and Fader and these mainstream outlets, or a band like Zealand Ardor, who's just a brilliant artist, fusing really different genres and then getting recognized, like I said, by Vice and all the AV Club and Mike and all these places that recognized him for his brilliance. Being a part of that is amazing. Working with still working with Killswitch Engage, still working with bands, like Machine Head and just The Pretty Reckless or I Prevail, August Burns Red, just helping them get to a place, and continuing to tell their story as media changes, and as bands that have been together and doing things for a long time. It's really rewarding to help find new ways to tell their story and new media outlets and new ways to put them in front of people. You got to know that it's not a job, it's a lifestyle. You're going to have to make sacrifices. You're going to get calls at 10 p.m. and 2 afternoon on a Sunday. And when you're doing something, when you're at the supermarket, when you're at the mall, when you're out with your friends at the movies, going to the doctors, you're going to get texts. You're going to have somebody that either missed an interview or needs you for something or just wants to talk. It's very much, I always joke around this like adult babysitting, and it is, but in a good way. Like, I have to be a therapist, a support system, an unbiased, neutral person for all the bands I work with, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And I always quote the movie Little Miss Sunshine, because it's the truth. Love what you do, fuck the rest, and if you love what you're doing, like, it's not work. Most of my friends hate their jobs. They have to go to happy hour and get blitzed because they hate their bosses, they hate their jobs, they hate the people that they deal with. I never feel that way. My job might not end at 5 o'clock. I may have a lot of my job crossing over and interfering with my personal life, but I would be going to shows anyway and hanging out with dudes in rock bands, because that's what I love doing.